the southern charm, of a place like this. People are genuine, people are nice, and I really, embrace that. My family loves it here. My wife couldn't be here today. She's still working. My wife's an IT director, and she's working remote for a company in Jacksonville. She has to go back every 6 weeks or so, or 8 weeks, so she had to go back. So she wished she could be here, and I wish she could have been here to meet more people. My 2 boys love it here. My son will be playing for Greenville High this year, so I'll be at all those games, and my youngest, I don't know what he's going to do. He's in middle school. What's that tell you? This middle school type people, I don't know what he's going to do, what his plans are. But I just want to thank you, really, from the bottom of my heart, the way you guys have treated my staff. I got Curry Webb over here, my associate head coach, and came with me today. He's my right-hand guy. I couldn't do this thing without him. We got a great staff. I think you'll get to meet those guys probably in the community. I think just about all of them, maybe 2 or 3 are living in the community. So if you see them around, please say hello. They're all good guys. We want to be part of the community. We think this is important. The biggest thing I want to talk about today is, who's ready for some football? I know I am. I'm excited. I'm excited about this year. I'm excited about the kids. We had a really good 5-month stretch, 5 or 6 month stretch since we've been here. Kids have been very receptive. We worked hard this off season. 5:30 in the morning, 5 days a week. They were doing all these little things extra, because I kind of wanted to find out, this is how we have to do things. This is what we want to do. I want to find out who these guys were and whether they would put their nose in the grindstone and go to work. Because at the end of the day, no matter what you do, if you're not willing to work and put the time in, you're going to get back what you deserve, and it's usually not going to be very good. But if you put the time in, it gives you that chance. It doesn't mean you're going to be a winner, but it means that you got a chance to win. And I think our kids have done it. I'm very, very happy with the way they've worked for us this off season. We had a good spring. Didn't get anybody hurt. That's the biggest part. Didn't get too many guys hurt. But as we go through this thing, I want to kind of talk a little bit about how I got this job, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about the team, and then maybe open up for some questions. You never know where God's going to take you. He works in mysterious ways, and I've been down in Jacksonville for the last 6 years working with a great friend of mine, Kerwin Bell. Kerwin's a very good football coach. I kind of ran the defense, and he did the offense, and we were pretty successful. Had a good run. We were 19-4 or 18-4 our last 2 years, and we've been very, very good down there, and had a lot of fun. I think the thing with Kerwin, you're going to laugh every single day, and I think that's a big part of what you do. But we had a little change in leadership there at the university, and they didn't renew Kerwin's contract. And I saw the Tusculum job, just happened to see the Tusculum job came open, and I applied. Didn't know anybody, didn't know anything about it, but let me tell you why I applied. About 7 years ago, 8 years ago, one of my sons got sick after I was at East Carolina. I was the DC at East Carolina. I coached linebackers in Florida before that. I was at DC at East Carolina. Kind of walked into a funky situation, lost our AD, lost our president. Within 6 months of getting there, they wanted their own guy, yada, 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 see you later. That's just kind of how it works. I mean, that's college football. And that's why I told young coaches that are getting the job, it's the greatest job in the world, but it can be kind of a tough profession at times because you don't always control your own destiny. You just got to go to work and have a great attitude and figure it out. But getting back to that, I took a high school job in South Georgia. South Georgia is ultra competitive. It was in the Valdosta, Colquitt County region and all that. And they hadn't been very good. This is Coffee County, a little place called in South Georgia. It hadn't been very good. First year we go 5-5. Second year we ended up 9-3, and I think the third year I was there we went 10-2. So we kind of got better. We got where we need to be. Got the playoffs. Started turning some things around. Well, every year, my wife and I would throw 6 or 7 of the seniors in, and we'd take them on a kind of a tour of the SAC, conference, because we had a lot of D2 type players. These kids weren't getting exposure. I don't know if you know where Coffee County is, Douglas, Georgia. It's in the middle of the Hopi-Finoki Swamp. And you got to want to go to Douglas, Georgia, all right? Walmart's your mall. There is nothing else, It is what it is. So we took this tour of the SAC. So we would drive up, and I think Presbyterian at that time may have still been in it, but we hit Newberry, Presbyterian, and we made our way up to Tusculum. That was one of the last places we hit. I had some buddies at App State watching the game. Come over to Tusculum, and I'm looking around these facilities. I'm like, holy cow, these guys got an indoor facility. And look at this stadium. And we started walking around and talking a little bit. And as we pulled out, I just remember going, man. I said, you know, if that job ever comes open, Don, my wife's name is Don, I was talking to her as we pulled out, I said, if that job ever comes open and I'm in a position to get, I'm going to go for that job. So, you know, coming back, I was kind of looking around because I kind of saw the writing on the wall, even though we were 18-4 and went 9-2, 9-2. I kind of saw the writing on the wall, and then all of a sudden that job came up, and I'm like, man, I'm going to apply for this thing. And then, a couple days later, Doug Jones calls me. I'm like, holy cow, this guy. Because usually, the way this works in college football, if you don't know somebody, a lot of times you're not getting a shot at that job. I mean, that's the truth. So I appreciate Doug giving me a call because I didn't know him from Adam, you know. And we just started talking, and I got into the process, and it ended up working out. It was awesome. And I'm really thankful to be here. That, to me, the Division II level is really kind of a neat level. What I mean by that is the kids, you got to package kids, but there's money for them there as long as their academics are good, things like that. And I think it's a level where you can build a winner and turn things around pretty quick. Now, how quick, I don't know, but I think we've got a good run at it. Now we're still recruiting, if that tells you anything. And the one thing you learn about Division II is the recruiting never stops. Literally, I've got 2 kids coming in next week. And we start 2 and 3 in 3 weeks. That's how this thing works. So, I get the job and I come in and I mean, all the people, Dr. Moody and David Martin was around and I met him and everybody was really, really nice. And when I got the job, I'm like, okay, now what? So I get my staff together and, I was fortunate. I got to bring 6 guys from JU with me. Okay, that's big. So I had 6 guys out of my staff. The majority of my staff plus myself were at JU the last couple of years. So I didn't have to learn my staff. So we knew each other. I work with these guys, I don't know how good of coaches they are, so I think that helped us turn it around quicker, get things going quicker, so now we just worry about the kids, because really at the end of the day, what's this thing really about? It's about the kids. It's about getting them their degree. It's about making them understand that, use sports to get your education. It's about doing the right things, and it's about accountability. That's the one thing you'll hear, a lot about our program. We're going to be accountable to each other, and we're going to do the right things. If they're not, they're probably not going to be here. I'm pretty, I'm a short, tempered guy on that kind of stuff. We're going to do the right things. And anyway, so we come down here, and we're staying in we got, rented a place. Well, it's all 8 of us in this place. Okay, we're all sleeping on air mattresses. And it's crazy. It's a bigger place, like 4-bedroom place. But I think Curry was in the den. Mike Klein was in the dining room sleeping. Another guy was in the living room. One guy, slept near the kitchen. It was nuts. It was like a frat house there for about 6 months. But what we did is I think it bonded us into knowing how hard we had to work. And I think the kids were a little surprised about us because we're all Florida guys, and a lot of us are Florida, have a Florida background, and we weren't calling off weights and it was snowing. They were shocked. They were like, what do you mean? You guys are coming in? We're like, oh yeah. Now, a couple times we got stuck. We're out there in the middle. I don't know how to drive in the snow. I'll be honest with you, I had to learn. That's the truth. We got stuck. One of our OC, his truck went off. I think we left his truck there for about 2 days. It wasn't that bad. So the storm came, we couldn't get it out. But these things all brought us together even more. And then we kept, we were able to keep a couple guys. Addison Williams is an outstanding coach, really happy to keep him. And we all have a really good rapport as coaches. And I think because of that, it's made us maybe have a great attitude toward the kids. Now, you guys are always welcome to come to our practices too, by the way. Now, they're fast tempo. We're only going to be out there about 1 hour and 55 to 2 hours. I don't believe more longer than that. We're very intense on how we sprint practice, how we run the practices, because I think getting kids reps, getting them more and more opportunities to get better is what's going to make them better. And you got to understand now, we had 126, I think, in spring. I'll have 170 when we roll out there, on the start. We'll probably split up practice a little bit. We'll go 2 different groups. We'll do some different things and practice different ways because I want all those kids to get reps because we don't think you can develop a kid who's not getting reps. So that's hard to do. You can't have any Cigar Store Andy coaches. You guys ever see the Cigar Store Andy and the ones that's kind of standing there like that, they don't do anything? You can't have those coaches on your staff. You got to have guys who get out there and work and grind and fly around and have fun. And really, football is fun. And if you're not having fun, then you're not going to be very good. And I think that's a big part of what we're trying to get. The message I want really for you guys today too is, I know there's a lot of Tennessee fans here. And I know probably, I don't know what else, Virginia Tech, Clemson's around here. There's a lot of different things around here. But if you don't go to that game, come check us out. I saw what you do on a Friday night in Greenville High. We got to get that same atmosphere at our place, where people are like, man, that's a great crowd. But it's up to us to put a great product on the field. I do understand that. I mean, that's part of it. We need to put a competitive product on the field where you guys can come and be proud of what you see every day, and that we're representing the East Tennessee area in a great way. I would love to, we've been trying to play the people down the road, but I can't get a call back. And I'll tell you that. So if you know somebody, tell them we need 2 games next year. I'll play them. That'd be great. East Tennessee versus Tusculum. Let's go. I'm fine with that. I like that kind of stuff. We want to play. We want to be able to play guys that bring more atmosphere to the field. I want there to be an atmosphere there on Saturday where people get worried about playing at Tusculum, but we need your help to do that. But we need to do it together, and that us being a part of the community and us being doing the right things. Because I've heard multiple things about the football team, and I'm trying to quantify it a little bit. I want to make sure we have a good reputation in the community with our kids. Does that make sense? I really do. It's just us talking here. I want you guys, if you ever see one of my kids that you think's a football player acting up, please call me. I will handle it. I promise you, I will handle it. And because I don't want those things. I want there to be good, solid people in this community where they feel like they're great when they come back as alumni, or they stay in the town of Greenville or Tusculum, that they're giving back in the right way. And I think if we can do that, then we're all working together and everything will work out. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. Real quick, I did play at Florida. Sorry. It's funny. So one of my kids went to Tennessee this week, or 2 weeks ago. And if you go in their football facility, there's a picture of, I don't know, it might have been Reggie Cobb or somebody. I'm trying to, he's jumping over me. He's about that far off the ground, and I'm about that far off the ground. As he goes in for a touchdown. And that's like on the wall. And it's funny, the only reason I know is one of my best friends, his son played at Tennessee, and he's on their official visit like, hey, Odom, look at this. And he's snapping pictures of us, shooting it back to me on Facebook. Like, I'm like, delete. I don't need to know how vertically challenged I am. I already have a pretty good idea. But anyway, played in Florida. We were decent, even though I will say the worst whipping we've ever had was in 1990 over at this place. I hurt my knee in the first quarter, and I didn't play the rest of the game. It was 7-7. They beat us at 45-7. Second half, it just wore us out. I wasn't in there though, so yeah, maybe that was the reason. I don't know. I doubt it. But played in Florida. Was fortunate enough to get to be a graduate assistant there. Played 2 years under Galen Hall, 2 years under C. Spurrier. Was able to GA for Coach Spurrier. My dad played in Florida, so you can hate me even double now. My dad was a Florida Gator. My grandfather played in Florida, so I'm pretty much as Gator as it gets. That's why that orange, I don't know if that's dark enough for me. I like the Tusculum orange. That's darker. That's a little bit darker orange. I'm fine with that one. But anyway, bottom line is I got there. I got to TCU. With GA there for a year. Got to go full time. Ended up, that staff got let go. We were doing a pretty good job working for Pat Sullivan at the time, Heisman Trophy winner, great guy. Went back, played arena football, like I said, for like 6 years in the Orlando area, played for the Orlando Predators in that league, which, that you've got to be a little crazy to play in that league, by the way. That's like, it's like 16 people in this room right here playing football. It beat my body up. It was, I really enjoyed it when I was playing. Right now, I'm not feeling real good, knee, shoulder, everything else. But played that for a while. Was coaching high school football. My dad's a 42-year veteran of the state of Florida. I think he was 286 and 60 when he retired. So he's a really good coach, and I learned a lot from him. Got to come back as University of Florida. I went back to UF in about 99, 2000 as a linebacker coach. Did that till 2002. Coach Murray decided to go to the Redskins. I don't like pro football. I really don't that much. It's okay. Didn't want to go coach that, so I stayed in Florida. Ron Suck, which was an interesting deal there too for a year or two. Got the DC job at East Carolina. Probably should have stayed in Florida. Got the DC job at East Carolina. Walked into a situation. I went with a guy named John Thompson, and I still remember the first practice. We kind of walk out there, and John's a real hyper guy. He's like, hey, Jerry, what do you think? What do you think? Watching practice, and he goes, I think we're in trouble. that's exactly what I think. Coming from Florida and then seeing what you had at East Carolina at the time, I was like, oh Lord. So we ended up having to go out and recruit a lot of guys, and then I kind of told you how that situation went. And I was in Douglas, Georgia for a little bit, and then I got to work in the Arena League, which was one of my favorite year and a half of coaching. I worked for a guy named John Bon Jovi. You guys know that? Didn't know that guy. He was our owner. And Bon Jovi's a cool guy. Bon Jovi knows football, which is crazy. I didn't know. It's a funny story how I got that job too. You guys will enjoy this. I'm coaching high school football. We're winning, all this stuff. And I kind of told him, the head coach was one of my best friends growing up. We played the Arena League together. All right? And I'm kind of hanging out, and he calls one day, hey, Jerry, what's it going to take me to get you up here? I've been trying to get you up here for 2 years. I'm like, dude, I don't know. I'm making good money. We're going to be good next year. My wife, man, she's like this. My wife's like at least 1,500, 1,600 SAT people. She's really way too smart for her own good. The only dumb thing she ever did was marry me, And she didn't love South Georgia, let's just say that. That wasn't really her cup of tea. But anyway, long story short, he said, well, just write down 6 things that you would need to come here as our associate head coach and run the defense. I'm like, all right. So I'm thinking I'm making good money here, so I write down crazy things. Like, gotta have my own house, I want a car, I want, this amount of money, every playoff. I wrote stupid things. So then I sent it to him. He's like, geez, Jerry, I told you I had a good job. What do you want me to do? So 2 weeks go by, I don't hear anything from anybody. So I'm not even thinking about it. I moved on. We're doing off-season workouts. And all of a sudden, I get a call from a 232 number, I think. And I'm like, I don't know who this guy is. So I answer and go, hello? He goes, is this Jerry Odom? I said, yeah. And he goes, yeah, this is John Bon Jovi. And I'm like, yeah, sure it is. Because my guys were kind of messing with me about it. My staff was messing because I told them what I did. And I'm pretty close to my staff. They're kind of messing with me about it. And I'm like, yeah, sure you are. And I kind of like, yeah, get out of here, dude. And I hung up on him, I was busy. We're right in the middle of waiting. So anyway, long story short is I get a call about 10 minutes later from my buddy Brett Munson. And Brett's like, what are you doing? You just hung up on John. I'm like, oh, that's really him. He's like, yeah, it's really him. I'm like, holy cow, really? So anyway, goes back, the guy calls me back. So John calls me back. He's like, hey, I obviously apologize for hanging up on him, but he calls me back and said, hey, I want to bring you up to my concert, and I want to talk to you about, coming to work for us. Okay. So my wife's a big Bon Jovi fan. I'm more a country music guy, so I was like, yeah, all right, whatever. So we go, backstage passes, the whole deal. What's crazy is you think these rocker guys are, drinking and, all this other so forth thing. He's like game day. He's in there, doing voice things. He's like all jacked up. And I'm like, this guy looks like he's getting ready to run out of the tunnel. You know what I mean? Like he's getting ready to go play a real game. So he does this concert, and I will say, it was awesome. It was in Newark, New Jersey, and that's like his place, so those people are going nuts. And so he comes back, and he goes, go in the green room, and just go have a seat and wait for the concert, and you and your wife can come on out and, enjoy that. So I'm all right. So I walk back there, and I get to about maybe here to this table, and I look over, it's Bill Belichick sitting in one of the seats. And I'm like, oh, that's Bill Belichick. My wife's like, oh, crap. She was hoping it was going to be a nice, hey, husband, wife, night and stuff. That was over. So I sit down, I'm like, hey, Mr. Belichick, how you doing, Jerry? I'm like, this guy didn't know me from Adam, but of course I don't care. I started talking ball with him and just, kind of, getting back and forth. And then, so we talked for about 15 minutes. He goes, hey, good meeting you. I got to go. So, I'm like, hey, great, awesome, blah, blah, blah. I can't even sign my shirt, whatever you want. I was going to cut it off, we'll swap. Anyway, so he leaves. We watch the concert. It's awesome. John comes back. We're having dinner backstage in the green room. Afterwards, I say, hey, this dinner's great and everything, but when are we going to have this dinner? And he's like, oh, you already had it. I'm like, wait a minute, I already had it. He goes, you didn't think I brought Bill, but he didn't think Bill Belichick was sitting in the green for me, nothing. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Yeah, he said, you knew what you're talking about, so I'm hired. I said, so you're giving me all this stuff? He goes, yeah. Okay. So, we ended up, from there, I had to go, really one of the hardest things I think I've ever done is those kids really bought into what we were doing in that high school. We were winning games, and they'd never won there. And, when you're beating Valdosta and Lowndes and Colquitt County, people like that, that's a big deal. And, those kids getting upset with me leaving was one of the hardest things I really have ever had to do in my life. But we ended up going up there, and then we went to the Arena League, which was awesome, really, because, John treated us great. We went 17-3, won the Arena Bowl in New Orleans. He rented out half of Bourbon Street, I think, for, 3 restaurants. It was crazy, fun year. I had a 3-year contract. He said that was the other thing I asked for, pay a 3-year contract because that's what Brett had. And so we're going through it, everything's great, and then the Arena League goes under for a year. Well, that 3-year contract didn't mean a whole lot of anything when you go under. So we're back on the road again, so we're trying to find, another gig, and that's when I get with Kerwin, and get on at JU and kind of there ever since. So that's kind of a abbreviated version of kind of my story. I grew up in football. I love the game. They'll tell you, I'm not a vacation person, don't care about it. My wife will get me to go somewhere 3 days, I'll be drawing on napkins. You know what I mean? Drawing stuff on napkins. That's my personality, that's who I am. I'm one of the fortunate people in this world that gets to do their hobby for their job. And when you do that, you never work a day in your life. Now, the hard part of this job, though, is you live and die with 18 and 22-year-olds on a scoreboard every Saturday. That's the hard part. But the great part of it is you get to work with those kids, see them grow, see them come back, see them become good people, good adults, learn something from your program, like I said, like accountability and things like that. And I think if we can do that, I've been fortunate. I've been a part of 2 losing seasons, I think, and when you go back to with playing, because I didn't lose much when I was a player, probably 2 losing seasons in 30 years, so I'm not a good loser. I'm not. I'm not somebody you want to be around after a loss. I'll just, I'm not going to be ugly to anybody, but I'm not going to really, we won't be near as talkative as what we're doing today. But it's one of those things where I think I understand the plan. I've hired really, really good people, and we've got a plan for what we're going to do, and we're just going to work our plan. Now, how quickly we can get it done, I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and tell you we're going to be undefeated this year, even though I think some of my players are thinking that. I'm glad they're thinking that, but, is that realistic? I don't know. I don't know how good we are yet. You don't know. My dad told me a long time ago, you don't know how you look till you get your picture took. So you got to go out there and get your picture took a few times before you really understand those things. So, I don't know whether it will be a good-looking picture or one of those, ones where you need to go get a better face. I'm not sure yet. But I do know this, that this has got a chance to be a special place. There's special people who work there. Really like what Doug and them are doing, as the AD. I think he's got a vision for what we're trying to get accomplished. We're going to grind. We're going to work. I am probably kind of a grinder, but it's only because I love what I do. But if you're ever by, or if you're just on campus, come by and see me, seriously. First door on your left, everybody else sees me. As you walk in on the first door on your left, you can't help but see me. And I'll be happy to talk with you or whatever we need to do. I just want to kind of open up for questions, because I don't know if there are any, but I'd be happy to answer anything about this team, whatever, recruiting, whatever we can say. I'd be happy to do.